everyone, this is Mary Kwiatkowski with RHAP, getting ready to speak with the most recent person eliminated from episode 8 of NBC's new travel competition show, Destination X. If you haven't watched the show yet, make sure you check that out and check out our recap and then come back for this interview. Of course, you can find all our coverage on weknowdestinationx.com. All right, I'm talking with our fifth place player today, Allie. Allie, I'm so sad to
Hi.
see you go.
Good. I'm glad someone is. Just kidding. Thank you. That means a lot.
You were hanging in there for the girls for as long as possible. So,
I was doing my best, man. I said I was a girl's girl, and apparently with Ty, I disproved it. So I had to prove it in some way, right? I
yeah.
had to stick around.
I'll go ahead and start off by just saying first season of a brand new reality show. It must have been hard to know what to expect. Did you come in with any kind of gameplay or strategy?
I expected nothing. I knew a lot of the other players watched the European versions of Destination X. I didn't realize that was a thing. So I went in blind. I haven't watched reality TV since I was a huge Survivor fan as a kid. So I kind of went in blind. My family was like, hey, you should watch some Big Brother. You should watch some of this to kind of get the vibe. And I was like, no, no, no. I just gotta go in raw, see how I do. And that was pretty much it. I did study the European map a little bit, but I have aphantasia, so like I can't see things in my brain. So I was trying to list top to bottom the European countries like repetitively, and that helped a little bit in terms of tracking location with the sun, trying to figure out where we were. But other than that, I didn't prepare very much.
So, yeah, you mentioned on this most recent episode in Venice about the aphantasia. Did you find that hurt you in any of the other challenges as well?
I think it hurt me a little bit overall. I wouldn't say it was like a game ending detriment as I did make it decently far, but Jonah would describe to me these vivid creations he could see with his brain and he could see the countries on a big map. And I'm like, I see black, nothing. And I've known this about myself for years. It was hard for me in school to be a visual learner because I wouldn't remember a model of a cell, right? So it was very difficult for me to remember the exact locations of things on the European map just because I can't see it in my head. I can't see an outline. But I think the memorization helped as much as it could, and I don't think I was at that big of a disadvantage.
Okay. And then how much have you traveled in general?
I have been to all seven continents,
Wow.
despite saying that I have been to all seven, but none of Europe. I believe that I said, but like none of Europe, and maybe like got cut out of there because I was the ditzy girl on the bus. But no, yeah, I've been to all seven continents, and I think at this point, like 47 countries now. So, but I have been to almost none of Europe. I did a European cruise to like Santorini, Cyprus,
Hmm.
Rome, Pompeii, and none of that helped me. I spent most of my time traveling in Asia and Africa, and if the bus had been in Asia, Cambodia, Laos, Vietnam, Thailand, I would have crushed.
Yeah, maybe for season 2. There you go. Um, so you mentioned having like a reputation of being the ditzy girl. Do you feel like that was accurate in terms of how you
No.
felt out there?
I don't feel like I'm ditzy. I think that I am generally smart. I mean, I have proven that throughout the game, but I think being kind of portrayed and cast as that, I don't want to say character, but you do get kind of typecast onto a show, right? Once you have the basic credibilities of, hey, you'd be good on this show because you've traveled, you've done this. What other role are you going to play in this
Mhm.
show? And I think that especially with Mac's comment being edited back to back in episode 1 of I'm going to team up with the dumb girl. It was kind of the perfect setup. And you know what? I don't know a ton of European cities. So while I don't think that makes me ditzy, it definitely means that I lack the knowledge that some of my competitors had. I've never been to Venice. I've never been to some of these places that Rick has spent quite some time in. I wouldn't have known that lions meant Venice. So
Yeah, and for me, a lot of it was like once they said, "Oh yes, lions have something to do with Venice." I'm like, yeah, I think I knew that at one point in time, but
I'm
wouldn't have
like, I
remembered.
have no idea.
Yeah. So you did obviously have a pretty strong social game. And we have to talk about Shane. So how did that all start? Were you instantly drawn to Shane and then like a showmance developed, or how did that come about?
No, I don't think we were instantly drawn to each other at all. We ended up talking about some undercover released CIA documents and some other conspiracy theories that kind of led us to bonding on the bus. But I mean, up until the end of episode 2, which was actually like a week and 2 days, Shane and Biggie did not like me. In the first episode, when I won the challenge, I went to the back of the bus in the golden chairs and I brought people back one by one to try to figure out who I wanted to alliance with. And I think that that came off super strong and bossy and whatnot to the boys. So they were like, F this girl, who does she think she is? Blah, 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 blah. But once Shane got talking to me, he was like, wait, she's really cool. And we had a lot of the same values, loyalty, it was an easy beginning, and I knew that I could trust him, and I knew that he was very loyal and utmostly honest. I felt like that was a trait that he had on the bus that most people didn't. He was always telling the truth. Whether that meant he was just withholding something from the bus, he would never just really straight up lie. And I liked that about him, and I trusted him because of that kind of thing.
So I have to ask, do my journalism. What's the status now with you and Shane?
We broke up 2 months
Oh
after the show. Yeah. I wanted to be with someone that I could see more often, and he had a very stable job in Indianapolis, whereas I am a travel influencer. I kind of go everywhere all the time. I'm not in one place for very long. So when we found out we were only going to be seeing each other once a month, yeah, I was like, I'm sorry, I can't do this. But we are really good friends. I'm going to see him in Indianapolis next week. So, yeah, I talk to him like every other day, and I think he's a really, really great guy.
okay, great. No bad blood there then.
Not at
Um,
all.
so what about some of the other cast? Was there anyone else that you felt like you really wanted to work with in the game?
I think episode 1, my eyes were on Josh, Rick, Ty, and Mac. And we had kind of had a loose 5-person alliance just for that episode. And that blew up into shambles really quickly with Josh's exit speech about Rick. And he also did an exit speech about Mac. So it kind of left the bus like, whoa, what's going
Hmm.
on? At that point, I didn't want to work with Rick. I was like, he seems like a snake. I respect the hell out of his game, though, don't get me wrong. And I think he's a great guy as a human, not on Destination X. Um, so yeah, I didn't really have my eye on anyone that I particularly wanted to alliance with. I felt like Mac was a very strong player, and when she joined the Biggie Shane Ally Mac alliance, that worked out really well for us for a little while. And that was kind of it. When Peter came on the bus, he told me that I was the most trustworthy person on the bus. And I was like, you don't know me. Why are you saying that? Like, why are you saying that? I just felt so manipulative. And like, is it because I'm a little girly pop? Like, it's The Bachelor? I don't know. So that made me not trust Peter. And just having new people come on the bus, it felt threatening, very threatening. And honestly, we all felt like it was super unfair. So once you kind of got past that, you really had to kind of stick to the OGs just because that's where trust was still found.
So did you recognize Peter, Janae, or Josh from anything? I know you said you mostly watched Survivor.
I recognized Peter. He's actually the only season of The Bachelor I've ever
Oh,
watched.
okay.
So it was like, what the heck is happening? Why is Pilot Pete out there? Like, I know that guy. I did not recognize Janae. I've never seen Love Island. I did not recognize Josh. I didn't watch his season of Big Brother, I guess. But Josh kept saying I looked familiar. He was like, are you a bottle girl? I was like, no, I don't know what you're talking about.
That's funny. Um,
Yeah.
so in general, how did you feel about like being on the travel bus and how did that shape your strategy?
Being on the bus honestly doesn't change your strategy as much as you would think it does. I mean, if you think Big Brother, they're in a house, just make it 5 times smaller. It's the same thing, right? I knew social strategy was going to be my ticket to making it far. I think people on the bus got really caught up on geography when they should have been really focused on establishing very important and deep relationships to then
Hmm.
carry you to the end. And the showmance worked in my advantage. People weren't worried about Shane and I. Shane and I were doing our own thing. I mean, I guess Rick was worried about it. He says multiple times, we got to get the showmans out. But I think overall, we weren't seen as threatening. And that was fantastic because I've won the second most challenges behind Rick.
Hmm.
So people ignoring that and thinking that I'm not a threat because I'm just laddie daddy daddy lovey girl land, like, great, think it, and it worked out for me for up until now.
Yeah, definitely. So when Janae left in the previous episode, did you feel nervous at all being the final woman standing?
Nervous? No, because at this point, I really trusted Shane and Biggie. Um, so no, I wasn't nervous. I was sad to see Janae go. That's not shown at all, but Janae and I had been playing cards. We were talking all the time. She was always telling me about how Love Island works because I'd never seen it. And it was really interesting. And we had such a good time doing the kayak challenge. So at that point, I was like, dang, I wish she had been on the show since the very beginning because I think she's someone I would have wanted to work with. She's, full of energy. But yeah, more sad about that, but not nervous. I felt like we were in a good position, Shane, Biggie, and I, and then I was wrong, but that's how it felt in the moment. So yeah, I wasn't worried.
So let's talk about Shane and Biggie's relationship. To you, how did that dynamic with the three of you feel like? Because in the show, it does feel like you've got the relationship with you and Shane, and then it seems like, though strategically, that Biggie and Shane are sort of prioritizing each other, at least from Biggie's direction. He's saved Shane multiple times.
Yeah. Um, In the beginning of this alliance, I was still working with Ty. Ty was my girl. I told Ty, let's go to the end. I trust you. I like your vibe. It'll be me and you. So then when Shane and I started having flirtations, you could call it, we said, hey, you and Biggie, me and Ty, that's our understanding. That's going to be our gameplay. That's how we'll roll with this. And so unfortunately, I didn't expect to lose Ty so quickly, and I didn't expect her to be telling Peter information or whatever. I thought that four alliance was going to be able to continue on. So when it did become just Shane, Biggie, and I, it was kind of like, oh, and I knew Biggie didn't trust me. I never knew why. I was very loyal to Biggie because I cared about Shane. I wanted it to be the three of us. We had Mac in our alliance for a few episodes, loved Mac at that point. But I knew I had a very good understanding of if Shane promised his alliance and loyalty to Biggie before he ever even talked to me, that takes priority. If he were to then backstab Biggie, then I would think he's not trustworthy because why are you backstabbing a guy that you made a promise to?
Mm-hmm.
Then that means you'll just backstab me eventually, So I always knew that when he was going to choose Biggie, and whenever he needed to share information or I needed to share information, we made it happen.
Okay. Yeah, that makes sense. And
I
that
think
and that
from
is
Biggie's
tricky.
perspective, he was like, well, everything's changed after watching last night's episode. But I assumed that Biggie wanted to go to the end with Shane and I because Shane and I were probably the least of a threat
Hmm.
geographically. So that made sense. And Shane and I multiple times said, hey, we're just here for the experience. If it comes down to the three of us, it'll be all for ourselves. Like, I just want to make it as long as I can because I'm loving playing the game. So yeah, I was shocked to see Biggie's decision last night, but no bad blood. I love Biggie. I was just really surprised because he never told me he did that.
Yeah, and I agree with you. I feel like going with you and Shane would have made more logical sense just in terms of the game. But
For sure, because
yeah.
he had the power in his hands to make it Peter and Rick at the Garden
Hmm.
of Lost Souls. One of them would have gone home. And
Yeah.
then his only person that he would really need to beat was either one of Peter or Rick who came back. But instead, I went home and I don't think there's any way that Biggie's going to be able to beat Rick or
Yeah.
Peter. I mean, they know a lot about European geography. Rick's traveled all over, and Peter's a pilot. And I think that that duo will be tough to beat. So yeah, strategically, I think you would have wanted to take Shane and I to the end. So like I said, I was shocked, but
Yeah.
no.
So in Venice, it looked like the way they edited is like you and Shane are on a little couples retreat, and then the other three guys are strategizing. Did you have other strategy talks with anyone else that we didn't get to see?
We did. So when Shane and I are talking at lunch, like sitting down, Biggie's actually sitting next to Shane. They don't.
Okay.
And then there's a point where I'm talking with only Biggie and Rick. And Rick's, the OGs have to win. The OGs have to win. Meanwhile, Shane is talking to Peter, pleading for Peter to go against Rick. He's like, I know you're working together. Save Allie and I. Allie and I are not as big of threats as Rick. Don't do it. And Rick or Peter was kind of like, I don't know, like Rick's been through a lot. Like, that's my alliance. I don't think I could do that to him, which I think is silly because Rick is a massive threat in the game. He's won the most challenges. He's known a lot of the locations. I even think for Peter's game, when it came down to me, Rick, and himself in the Garden of Lost Souls, it makes more sense for Rick and Peter to get each other out than it does to get me out because, again, they're threatening to each other. And I thought Peter would have that insight to make a decision like that after seeing him make the decision to get Mac out. So I was
Hmm.
really shocked when they went and got me out. But I assumed it was going to be me once we got to the tarot challenge because I knew they were working together.
Yeah, and at the tarot challenge, it didn't seem like there was a whole lot of chance you could have there besides just getting lucky and having one of them guess wrong because the way it ended up working being two against one, they could always just call your name next.
Right. So, and when it came down to it, every single card I pulled was correct,
Hmm.
but so was theirs. So when
Yeah.
it came down to Rick choosing, and I thought for a slight second, come on, Rick, be smart. Pete has more potential with European geography than I do. But I guess that social game and also other clues that don't involve geography could also be seen as threatening in a way. So maybe he was worried that the final challenge would be about the Kardashians. Who knows?
Up until the point where Peter tells you at the tarot cards that he and Rick have an alliance, did you all suspect that they were working together?
Mac, Shane, and I had suspected for quite a long time. Mac and I suspected since Germany.
Mm.
It's not shown in the show, but Mac and I actually on the train got to meet on top in like this clear glass room and have a conversation. And I told her, hey, I wanted to throw the challenge like we planned, but Peter wanted to throw the challenge. He has to be working with Rick. So we were trying to come up with a plan for her to lie to Rick so that Rick would give Peter bad information, but we didn't have enough time. So I think that's why it got cut. But Mac and I definitely knew, Shane knew, and in this last episode, Shane knew so heavily that he was begging Peter, it wasn't shown, to save me
Hmm.
rather than Rick because I was less of a threat. But um, less of a threat. Who knows? Who knows what the challenge would have been?
Yeah.
I've won a couple challenges. I've done pretty good for myself. Maybe it was an escape room. Maybe something like that. Maybe I would have killed it. And my social strategy has been great. So maybe they do see me as a threat. I don't know, but geographically, they should have kept me in the game. I don't know what was the question again? I forgot the end of that I was
Oh,
gonna say.
just how long you knew that they were working together or suspected.
Oh, yeah, yeah. I knew since Germany. And then when they had their big reveal at the tarot card, I was like, please, like, I know. Duh.
It's like y'all aren't sly.
But Biggie didn't believe Shane and I. So we
Yeah.
would tell him, hey, like, you can't trust Rick. But Biggie was like, no, like, you can't, he can. He's such a good guy. Like, he's been through so much. Like, you can trust him. No, you can't.
So in general, what did you think of the different challenges you had to do?
I loved all of the challenges. I'm so glad that I didn't have to run in Austria. I did not bring a proper sports bra. Um, the wardrobe was definitely more focused on what colors I had to bring. We had to get everything approved. They're like, we want you in pinks and this and that. And then So yeah, I was glad I didn't have to run. I thought the Austria challenges were so fun because that was things I knew. Um, and Geneva loved that. I actually told Ty Geneva, fun fact. She didn't know Geneva. That's why she did the same.
Gotcha. Yeah, I was wondering about that.
Yeah,
Nice.
because I told her. I was like, "Hey, Geneva," but whatever. I shouldn't have told anybody. Then I would have been the only one. But yeah, I love the challenges. I thought the fire challenge on top of the Swiss mountains was so fun. I definitely knew we were in the Swiss Alps. I chose Roger Federer. Yeah, I thought I did really well considering I was using random facts about things that I knew from the world and I didn't have to use European geography. Look, if there was no European geography involved and it was just random historical facts, this would have been my game. But
Yeah. There. Well, I don't know.
honestly, I think that's what gave me a fighting chance was they allowed these competitions to have other aspects of solving clues. Like you didn't
Right.
just have to know exactly where you were to figure out where you were.
Yeah, pop culture facts and stuff like that also
Yeah,
helped.
yeah, yeah.
Definitely. Well, Allie, it
No,
was really great talking with you today. Do you have anywhere that you want our listeners to check you out or follow you anywhere?
yes, come look at my YouTube channel. It is at Ali Bras, my name. Mac and I make videos every week. So if you love Mac, which you probably do, you should watch them. They're really cool.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you, Mary.
This is RHAP. We know reality TV.